Alright guys, what I got here is this 99 Prelude I picked up. It had an H22 in it with a rod knock. The balance shaft seal actually had came out and caused all the oil to leak out. It's very common on these H22 motors. If it doesn't have that retainer on the balance shaft seal, if you have a bad oil leak on your H22, it's probably going to be the case as your balance shaft seal had came out and leaked all your oil out and ruined your motor. Anyways, what I did with this car was I picked up a f20b, a JDM imported f20b from a warehouse up the road from me. This guy imports them, and it's cheaper than putting the H22 back in it, and I highly recommend this f20b. A lot of people say, oh, it doesn't have as much torque and such for this heavy car, whatnot, but believe me, this thing has plenty of power and plenty of torque to pull this Prelude around. I've put 2 of these motors in Preludes and they both run flawlessly. A couple of things I had to do to put this f20b in this Prelude was, for one, on your JDM H22s or F20Bs or any of those series motors, the JDM version does not have your crank sensor, or CKF or CF, whatever the hell that thing's called, sensor down there on behind the crankshaft. So if you don't have that, your car is not going to start. And there's ways you could swap out your old oil pump and put your oil pump on this motor or whatever, and then you have you can do that. That's the hard way, in my opinion. What I do is I went to Rywire, and what he has is a conversion harness, distributor conversion harness, that basically you plug into your factory harness down here for your sensor, and it runs across here to the distributor, and basically you just plug it in. This is the f20b. This is your f20b distributor, your 8-pin distributor that came with this motor. And here is your factory H22 harness, USDM harness connectors. It's just plug and play. You literally just plug this in to your factory harness and plug this into your JDM f20b distributor, and put this is for your external coil. Right here's the jumper wire. It comes with Rywire sends this in their kit to jump your coil. Just do that, and that fixes your problem with your crank sensor. The car fires right up, no problems at all. I've done that on two of these Preludes, and it's a lot easier than trying to rewire the distributor or swap out the oil pumps or whatever on these cars. I think Rywire is like $55 or $57 shipped for that. This conversion harness here. What I did also, this is the H22 intake manifold I kept off the old motor and just put it onto this f20b. I just wanted to keep it for the f20b one had some of these vacuum ports wasn't there, and it's a lot easier just to swap out this intake manifold, all the fuel injectors and all that stuff works on this one. They're not all clogged up for the old f20b motor or whatnot. So swap that out, and you have to swap out your VTEC solenoid from the H22 motor, because it's only got one connector on your JDM one. So you have to swap out your VTEC solenoid. Let's see. What else? I think that was it as far as for this swap. It's actually pretty simple. Like I said, the hardest part is they're dealing with that crank sensor. But see, of course you have to swap out your crank pulley for your H22 crank pulley, because the f20b one only has the alternator belt. It doesn't have one for AC, or excuse me, it doesn't have one for the power steering. So you have to use the H22 crank pulley. And this car, I'm having I got it running. I had to swap out the ignition switch, because somebody had broke the key off in the ignition. I already put the new ignition in, but they broke the key off, and they had it wired to a forward windshield wiper or a rear window wiper switch down here. So I had to put a whole new ignition switch in it, a new immobilizer unit under the dash, and I've still got to get it programmed for the ECU, because this immobilizer doesn't match this ECU, so I got to take it to Honda and have them program it. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but basically I used the JDM H22A computer to get the car to start, so I know the car runs, because this ECU, the JDM one, does not have the immobilizer unit in the ECU, so it doesn't recognize that with this immobilizer on the ignition, so the car runs when I put this ECU. Of course, the transmission, it doesn't. This is not for the Tiptronic transmission, so it's throwing all kinds of codes for the transmission. But once I get that programmed, the ECU reflashed for the new immobilizer unit, this car should be ready to roll. Let's see. Other than that, this car is pretty good shape for a 99, 187,000 miles, I think. Doesn't really have any dings or anything in it. It's going to be for sale here hopefully pretty soon once I get it running, get the ECU programmed. It does need a set of tires on it, but hell, other than that, it's going to be a pretty good car. But yeah, there's a lot of threads and different forums out there. People say, oh, the f20b doesn't have torque and all that, it doesn't have enough power. That's bullshit. This thing runs just fine with the f20b. You don't even hardly notice the difference with the f20b versus H22. Plus the f20b doesn't have the FRM cylinder walls or whatever they H22s have. Still, these have the cast iron sleeves or whatever in them, which I think they're a whole lot more reliable than H22s. As you guys can tell, I'm not a fan, much of a fan of H22 engines, but yeah, this is gonna be a good little car when I get that ECU programmed. If you guys got any, if you guys are doing this swap or think about doing this swap, you got any questions about anything, just shoot me a comment, and I'll see if I can help you out. Like I said, I've done this a couple of times on these cars, and I've went through trial and error with certain things, especially with that crank sensor. But yeah, leave a comment if you guys have any questions. Thanks.